All right, looks like they've kind of slowed down for a little bit. So I say see, I brought somebody in. I think we can go ahead and get started though. There's our slide. We want to go to mission and vision. All right, I'm Leslie Scott. I'll be your facilitator for today's coalition meeting. Welcome everyone to our March meeting. I am the program manager for digital inclusion at KC Digital Drive. Can we go back to our, what's happening? It's happening. Okay, here we are. So here's our mission and vision. Our vision is every citizen and household in the Kansas City metropolitan area has access to the internet, the equipment needed to use it, and the skills needed to take advantage. And our mission is to facilitate collaboration among organizations and initiatives working to bridge the digital divide in order to maximize the resources for the greatest impact. So if this is your, I guess we'll go to the steering council, and these are our steering council members. I think everyone's here potentially, but Tom, I think is out on vacay, lucky duck. And so Carrie Coogan, Aaron Deacon,
Morning,
and Ina, who is calling me. Our steering council members. If you are not a member, we have this simple membership form. It's free to be a member, and we encourage you to do so. I think at this time, if we have any new folks to the meeting, if you would raise your virtual hand in the reactions, and we'll call on you to make a very quick 30-second introduction. Anybody new? I guess we don't have anybody. Last call for new people. Okay. All right, so these are the ways you can stay connected with us. If you're on social, please do that. And this is our agenda for today. We'll start with Ike Graham, who's the president of the Vineyard Neighborhood Association, and Katherine Maloney with Goodwill will also be presenting today. So we've got a couple of great presentations. And with that, Ike, are you here? Let's see him on the call.
I'm not seeing him quite yet.
Okay, well, I know Katherine's here, so maybe we can go ahead and just flip our presentations, if that's okay, Katherine. Okay.
That sounds great. All right, well, hello everyone. As mentioned, my name is Katherine Maloney. I work at Goodwill of Western Missouri and Eastern Kansas as the Director of Workforce Development. So we just wanted to take a little bit of time to share some updates, and then also just an overview of our efforts that we have with our Goodwill Artemis Institute. So I'm going to share my contact info in the chat if anyone would like to get in touch with us afterwards, and then I'm going to share my screen so we can kind of dig into this a little bit today. All right, just double checking that you guys can see my screen. Excellent. Okay, great. All right, so we'll get started. A little bit of our presentation today is just talking about what we're doing with the Goodwill Artemis Institute, but I thought we would, maybe kick things off with a little bit about why. So with that, as I'm sure all of you are aware, our labor market is changing. Some of these emerging technologies as a result of the fourth industrial revolution, that's also sometimes referred to as Industry 4.0, are creating a world that we are more connected than ever before. These emerging technologies are changing the workforce as we know it. Things like robotics, 3D printing, artificial intelligence, augmented and virtual reality, the Internet of Things, cybersecurity, and it goes on. And by one popular estimate that I was reading recently, there was a staggering stat that was mentioning about 65% of children that are entering primary school today will ultimately end up working in jobs that don't even exist right now. So, it's basically just continuing to think about how our world is shifting and thinking about how that is going to relate to different jobs that are out there. I have a quick video, so I'm going to see if the audio is working. If not, let me know. If it's not, let me know and I'll share this afterwards.
Word robots. Our mind usually conjures up the image of something from science fiction or a Hollywood blockbuster movie. But the truth is, most robots in the real world don't look like this, and they're usually designed to carry out very specific tasks. Robots have been used for quite some time in factories and manufacturing plants, but they've recently become more popular in other fields, with things like automated food prep, cow milking machines, and self-driving cars. Whether we like it or not, this automation will only continue to grow, and it's going to inevitably change a number of different industries. As this happens, you may find yourself fearful of losing your job to a machine, and that's completely normal. If we look back through history, there have been other eras of technological advancement that scared a lot of people, like the Industrial Revolution or the rise of the computer. And while these and other events radically changed the job market, we always found a way to adapt to them until the next technology came along. And then we did it all over again. This cycle has repeated itself throughout history. The difference now is that the changes are coming faster than ever. So whether or not you feel the rise of the robots is a good thing or a bad thing, we'll all need to find a way to adapt, as we've done countless times in the past. It's absolutely something we can do. And even though technology can be confusing, it can also be a useful tool. The internet gives us access to nearly unlimited resources that we can use as we strive to adapt. One strategy might be to try and fully understand why these changes are happening. A lot of new job opportunities are going to be created. And while they may not be quite the same as your current job, knowing more about them could help you land on your feet. These changes won't be easy, but if you prepare yourself and approach things from a more informed perspective, the journey might be a bit smoother.
Goodwill Community Foundation.
So we included that video just as, the context of us thinking about not only that these are in the future, but that some of this is starting to implement around, workforce opportunities that are happening right now amongst us. A couple of examples. This image is of Amazon employees that are now incorporating robotics into some of their warehousing operations. And then, also local to this area, this is an image of some of the Fanuc robots that they're utilizing at LMV Automotive, where they're making GM and Chevy car parts. And something, even more fun is starting to think about how they're using robotics in different, industries, even just food service. So this is an example of a restaurant in Overland Park that's called Magic Noodle, where they're utilizing this robot to take food to people's tables. So pretty cool. Just different, different types of robotics and other technology that's, infiltrating all workplace environments. And so while many of these emerging technologies are being created by engineers or software developers or other industry professionals, there's also several other new collar jobs that are accessible to job candidates who have obtained short-term credentials or who may have completed industry-specific apprenticeships. And so for us, thinking about this new collar concept, trying to think about what are these new collar jobs and how do people prepare for these job opportunities, especially for people who maybe haven't had access to higher education opportunities to get a 2-year or 4-year degree, and that many of these new collar workers maybe are working on developing technical or soft skills that are needed to work in either technology jobs or other jobs that are implementing these emerging technologies in different industries as well through maybe non-traditional educational paths, and that these workers may not, like I said, have had access to a 4-year degree from college, but instead are going through short-term training programs that could be offered through community colleges, other vocational schools, like software boot camp type of stuff, or other technical certification programs. And so for us here at Goodwill, that's really been our goal. And thinking about what is already going on in our current landscape here in the Kansas City metro area, and thinking about how we could help supplement some of that with our Goodwill Artemis Institute. And so, here regionally, Goodwill has been in operation for over 128 years, providing workforce development services in various capacities. But as we've been continuing to see the rapid changes going on with technology in all of those areas, we're starting to think about how do we shift the work that we are doing to make sure that people don't get left behind, especially those that maybe haven't had access to higher education opportunities. And so to achieve this goal, in 2021, we launched the Artemis Institute in partnership with other area technology companies and training institutions, with the goal of us training adults, both in Kansas and Missouri, so that they are prepared for this next wave of industry. So through a combination of some virtual and in-person classes, we have started to offer a Bridge to Technology course. And this spring, we'll be launching a Certified Manufacturing Associate certification, both of those being in person. And then through other scholarship opportunities, we've also been trying to connect learners to online certification programs that we have scholarships for. So these are a couple of the ones that we are currently offering, but over the next couple of years, looking to add to this list and expand, thinking about what is our current labor market need, where are there shortages and gaps for people to get into, and how do we build out some opportunities for people to get those technical and soft skills that they're needing to get into great paying jobs that may not require higher education level training or certifications. So one of the first things that we started with this last year is this Bridge to Technology program. This was designed to prepare adult learners in our Kansas City metro area for having that starting point to advance into a career pathway of their choice within the tech field, especially trying to think about persons who may need to build some of their basic knowledge around the use of computers, may need to boost their academic readiness to get into a training program, especially in reading and math. But most specifically, having that exposure to what is Industry 4.0, what are some of these technologies, and then trying to start making that match based on what their skills, interest, or prior experience might be, which of these career options might be a good fit for them to look into, and how do we start, that kickstart for them to, narrow down where they should be headed, how to get in contact with some of the great training opportunities that are already available, especially those that may be free or low cost, so that people have that starting point to launch into one of these careers. So learners that are enrolling into this Bridge to Technology program are signing up for an 8 to 10 week course. Classes are held 3 times a week for 2-hour sessions, so a total of 6 hours of in-person class time each week. They may have up to 4 hours of additional learning or assignments that they are working on, so about a total commitment of 10 hours each week. Each learner also works with one of our Goodwill workforce development specialists that assists with not only developing a career development plan and setting goals, but then also trying to navigate and overcome any barriers that they might be facing, especially things around transportation, addressing childcare, housing, or just other, stability type of challenges that a person might be facing as they're, looking to maybe do a career change, or for some that may have been impacted, their employment may have been impacted due to the pandemic and are just trying to get back on their feet. So this really is, kind of intended to be a prep course to get people back on track with their careers and goal setting around that. And so like I mentioned, I think a lot of the work that we're doing in this first year is trying to build partnerships and just opening the door to all of you as well. If you would like to be, connected to the work that we're doing here, we are interacting with many agencies that have students that may want to take part in this opportunity, places like Literacy KC, Prep KC, that have students and learners that are trying to explore different career paths. And then on the back end of the Bridge to Technology program, trying to get them in contact with some of these great options, things like Apprenti, that's through KC Tech Council if they're interested in apprenticeship, or the upcoming LC 101 through Launch Code if they're interested in getting down the path into coding. And then, other partners as well, just trying to connect with industry, businesses that would be looking for employees, that would be wanting to connect with our learners once they're ready to start a job. And then also just training opportunities. We have just this last couple of months started using our virtual reality headsets. We have a set of Oculus Quest 2 headsets from Transfer VR that has a whole library of online simulations that are preparing people through virtual reality to have some exposure to different industries so that people can try out a large variety of different things that they might be interested in as they're still trying to contemplate maybe what types of careers would be a good fit for them, and actually kind of having a virtual experience so that they can kind of see if it's a good fit for them. So these are the ways in which people get in touch with us. So, clearly we're looking to, share this information with all of you great people and in your networks of folks. If you come across people who may be interested in these types of opportunities, we try to interact with people on a walk-in basis. If they prefer to come in without an appointment, they can call or text. We also have an online option for people who might want to connect with us that way. So lots of avenues to do that. And Laura Stockton, I think, is also on the call today. She is our digital inclusion instructor. And so getting in touch with us, any of those mechanisms are a good opportunity to connect with us that way. And so then I just want to open it up for any questions. If there's anyone who would like to learn a little bit more about this, or if you have any specifics that you'd like for me to elaborate on, I want to open the floor for any questions.
Well, I have one, Katherine. I'm wondering if someone has to be in your programs in order to take advantage of the Grow with Google certification. Do they need to apply and qualify for your programs?
Great question. So the Grow with Google platform, if anyone was interested in attending one of those classes. It's accessible to anyone. So coming through Goodwill would allow a person access to a scholarship, so it would be no cost to them to access the platform. The cost for just any person who signed up on their own, there's like an annual fee or a monthly fee that you would have to pay, which I think is about $50 a month. Most of these courses last about 6 months long, depending on your speed and how much you put into the time. All of the 5 certificate options that we have scholarships for take about 6 months if you spent about 10 hours a week on the coursework. And so if they were wanting a scholarship, yes, they would come through Goodwill. We would be basically just determining that the criteria for eligibility for a scholarship is that they're at least 18 years old, and that they have some basic, computer knowledge. So currently right now, as I'm sure most of you use and are aware of, the North Star digital literacy assessments, we interact with our students just to make sure that they have some baseline knowledge around the use of computers before signing them up for a scholarship, because we don't want anyone to, get set up to fail if they don't have some of those basic, knowledge skills before enrolling. But aside from that, there really isn't too much like hard criteria for eligibility. So they would just contact us through one of those methods, let us know that they're interested in one of the scholarships for Grow with Google. And then we'll be able to get them set up with the digital skills assessments and then be able to sign them up.
Great. Anyone else have any questions? All right. Well, we had a few people join since I've asked, so I'm going to check in again to see if we have anyone new. Sean, have you been here before to our meeting?
I have not. And I did raise my hand when you first asked.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was
okay.
looking for the reactions, little.
Yeah, that's what I
Guy.
did. And so no worries. It's like I'm delighted to be here. I will introduce myself, Sean Brown with the Kansas Health Foundation. I'm a program officer and just delighted to be here and learn about everything that the coalition is doing. So thank you.
Is there anyone else who I ignored initially and unintentionally? All right. Well, we welcome you, Sean, for sure, and appreciate your support of digital inclusion efforts in Kansas, for sure. All right. Well, I know that there might have been a bit of an issue with the Zoom link in the agenda. So that may be why Ike is having some trouble getting in. So I guess we will we will proceed with our agenda. I guess we're at our announcements. Is that where we are in our agenda, Wendy? Yeah. Okay.
If we need to skip over Ike, then I think Rick wanted to share some info. He's been working on the ACP project and might have some updates to share. And then Megan from the Tech Access team.
Yeah, and then we've got a couple of videos to show, so I'm glad we're gonna have plenty of time for those.
Okay, can you allow screen sharing for me?
You bet.
Res control, yeah, thanks. Let's see. Just something to look at. As far as the affordable connectivity program goes, I think everyone's aware of it. It's the $30 a month subsidy for households making 200% or less of federal poverty level. There's some other qualifying criteria. Looking at regional numbers, this is like zip code data for the region. we're close to 50,000, 47,819 subscribers as of February 17th. That's the last data update from the FCC. So William Crumpler, I think he showed these last meeting as well, but what we're seeing is that this first map here, percent eligible households that have signed up, this is for EBB. This program was known as the Emergency Broadband Benefit from when it was launched in May of last year until December 31st. The infrastructure bill that passed last year, there's some other iterations, I guess, of where the funding came from, but it basically went from like a $3.2 billion funded program in EBB to now, I believe it's over 12 billion, maybe 15 billion for the Affordable Connectivity Program. So it'll have much more longevity. It's more or less designed to be a permanent program for internet subsidies for low-income households. So what we're seeing by looking at zip code data, the red area here, these are also the zip codes that we've been monitoring in the Kansas City, Missouri area. There's some in Kansas City, Kansas. I've added Independence to my review. We're seeing what's positive is that usage in those zip codes is increasing faster than in other zip codes, which is what you would want to see. You would want to see folks who aren't connected being connected. Although we don't know from the data whether these are households using the benefit to pay for their wireless services like phone. We know that most folks are accessing the internet by their phone if they don't have a home internet connection. But that's at least a positive note to this. The other chart here, these are the number of households that have not signed up. And these are eligible households in zip codes that have not signed up. So this is where we should be focusing our outreach efforts. And you can see there's some good chunks of Kansas City, Kansas here that maybe we can work with Wyandotte County, KCK to get some attention there. So we are trying to ramp up an outreach partner network similar to what I had been running when I was at the city of Kansas City, Missouri. That program, I think, is necessary to do the outreach not only to members of this coalition, but other social service agencies and governments across the region to help promote this initiative. Because when you look at it, there's really now, what I say, $14 billion that is available to go to Kansas City, Missouri residents, Kansas residents, really everybody in the region. And that's, I think the number we racked up was $20 or $30 million in benefit to the Kansas City region if we get more households subscribing. I also, this graphic, this is from Mayor, see it, I'm dating myself here. Reverend Cleaver, Rep Cleaver, who's our state representative, I'm sorry, congressman, promoting an investment corridor from Independence to Kansas City, Kansas, essentially a new max line. There is a broadband component. I'm trying to get more information on what the planning is going to be there. What I saw initially was just mainly like an infrastructure play. We know from what is provided in the Kansas City region that really it's subscriptions that we need to be pushing and helping households afford that internet, which again ties back to this Affordable Connectivity Program. So what kind of outreach we might be able to do to residents and businesses along that corridor will be an interesting challenge. Also, if you plug in the Prospect Max line and the Truce Max lines and maybe extend that half-mile influence radius to a mile, then you're hitting pretty much all of these zip codes that we're most concerned with. a quick look at this is that even just this footprint of that proposed transit corridor impacts or passes through 5 of the 10 most impacted zip codes in Kansas City, Missouri. And just a quick review, maybe 3 of them in Independence and 4 of them on the Kansas side. So it's connecting certainly the right neighborhoods, same neighborhoods that we've been trying to serve with our digital inclusion efforts. So that's my update. If anyone has any questions, happy to talk about that.
Hey, Rick, it's Rachel. How are you?
Hey, how you doing?
Good to see. Well, I'm among friends here. I'll turn on my camera. It's Casual Friday. Just curious though, if you could share your deck. Are you able to share the presentation you just gave? Document?
Yeah. I'll talk to William Crumpler. He's put these slides together, and yeah, we might be able to share that with you. I've shared it here, so
I think that map doesn't have the latest February data, so we can update that before it gets sent out, just to make sure it's
great. Thanks, William.
new.
Would you have, I think you have 4 slides. Is that okay then to share with the group? You feel all right with that? Okay, yeah, then William can share it. Maybe Wendy put it out with the notes from the meeting.
Absolutely. I'd love to include it in the follow-up newsletter too.
Perfect.
Yeah, Williams
Thank you for
are
that.
amazing, awesome, spectacular AmeriCorps Vista with Casey Digital Drive. So for anybody who didn't know that, yes, he's doing amazing work. Rick, I just wanted to, since we haven't had a chance to touch base and let everybody else know too, William and I spent some time at the Central FEC office this week, as well as at Donnelly College. So we've been doing some outreach, trying to gain some understanding of any barriers or challenging language or other kinds of hiccups that people may experience when they are enrolling in ACP. So if anyone has foot traffic at their location and is interested in having us come out and just set up a table, we can hand out flyers, help people enroll on the spot, all those kinds of things. Our hope down the line is that we create sort of a handbook that will help organizations be able to do this with those they serve directly. So you can, I'll put my email in the chat and you can contact me if you're interested in that. And it sounds like Rachel has a question.
I do. Leslie, are you seeing the challenges? Are they coming with the ACP enrollment process itself, and or those who are ACP eligible then being able to get a service provider to accept their eligibility, essentially?
Yeah. So it's early days, but I would say that there are some little details that can sometimes gum up the works. So for instance, if the account holder's name is different from the person who applied for, so say the account holder's name is in the husband's name and the wife applies for ACP, like that doesn't work. They have to be the same. And then if they're notified of that and then they fix it, then they have 2 applications in the system, and that's also a problem. So they can remove one, but it takes like the batch has to run overnight to do that. And so they have to wait 24 hours. So there's those kinds of challenges. And then I was working with someone who's a new Afghan refugee. She was needing to get something from Della Lamb that showed that she was actually on SNAP because, you know, the documentation she had wasn't sufficient. And it's not, I would say people are not having a lot of luck with the helplines. And so I think the on the ground organizations are going to need to probably dive in a little bit more, is what I'm learning. I am trying to learn as much as I can from the NDIA listserv as well. So there's some things that have been coming through there. And I think that, you know, we'll know more as more people share. But I know, you know, the immigrant and refugee population has been particularly difficult to navigate this process. So really, really interested in you know, learning more from NDIA members about how that's working and any tips there. I hope that answered your question, Rachel.
Yeah, as you know, we're trying to build out our processes of being able to have the ACP eligible customers. And I want to make sure if there are things on our end that we can look out for that might be useful. And I think the point of the internet service account not matching the name on the ACP, that'll be something we'll have to look out for. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, I mean, and this is certainly not your fault at all, but just for clarification for anybody on the call, for some reason, even though, and correct me if I'm wrong, Rachel, but you're still working on ramping up to accept people for ACP, but Google Fiber does appear in the list of ACP ISPs. And so the FCC is definitely confusing matters in that respect, I would say. So we'll be looking to you, I'm sure, for that announcement of when it happens. Okay, great. Well, I'm happy to report that Ike Graham is here. So does anyone else have any ACP related questions? All right, and I apologize, Ike, for the difficulty.
Leslie, if I could, just one more thing, just to emphasize the urgency on this program. There are, you know, tens of millions of dollars that have been approved that are still being programs being designed, funding mechanisms through the state and federal government being put together. You know, we're looking regionally about how we're going to ask and implement those dollars. Those dollars, from what we're seeing, won't really be hitting us in Kansas City until maybe late this year, but definitely more than likely 2023. This affordable connectivity program, again, is available right now, and we need to be doing everything we can to raise awareness of this. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Rick, for spearheading that effort. All right, so without further ado, Ike Graham, welcome.
All right, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you.
You have your presentation ready to go?
I do.
Okay, and Wendy, he can share his screen.
All right. Again, good morning. I'm Ike Graham, president of the Vineyard Neighborhood Association, located at 4301 East 43rd Street, Kansas City, Missouri, 64130, with the purpose of improving the quality of life for residents in our designated area, with emphasis on services and housing. Our mission of Vineyard Neighborhood Association is a community of hardworking, proud neighbors who care about each other. We take pride in our community, and we strive to build relationships and partnerships through improved communication with police, school, youth, and other agents.
I'm sorry, I just want to interrupt. Did you have a presentation?
I'm doing it now.
Okay, I'm not seeing it.
I'm not, I don't have a slide or anything.
Oh, okay. Okay, I just want to clarify. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Our vision is Vineyard is a safe, well-groomed, unified community of neighbors, helping neighbors that has convenient shopping, recreation, and progressive development. A little Vineyard history. The Vineyard Neighborhood Association was organized in 1969 as a community organization to provide a means for residents to express their concerns and participate in the planning and execution of programs designed for community betterment, self-help, and revitalization. In August of 2019, we celebrated our 50-year anniversary, and we are now into our 53rd year. Vineyard received a 501c3 not-for-profit in 1980 to assist residents in the Vineyard area and to work in conjunction with other neighborhoods to accomplish overall goals. In our distinguished history, Vineyard has grown to become an organization with over 150 dues-paying members with active working committees and committed partners that work alongside us to continue our mission and vision of improving our neighborhood. We continue to work closely with longtime partners, Genesis School, on their mentoring program. And in conjunction with Harvesters, we currently operate a food pantry to provide food assistance to Vineyard residents. Vineyard is also working with a coalition of like-minded, nonprofit, community-based organizations. We are in partnership with the Aim for Peace, Oak Park, Palestine, Seven Oaks, Ivanhoe, Washington, Wheatley, and the Historic East Neighborhood Coalition. For several years, because of our long-standing and close relationship with the Kansas City Neighborhood Alliance, the former Kansas City Neighborhood Alliance, Vineyard members, officers, and board members were able to participate in several leadership trainings and opportunities, minor home repair initiative, and the development of ownership of our own resource center to replace our previous building. Vineyard was introduced to digital inclusion several years ago by a board member. And after Vineyard became a member of digital inclusion and meeting such people as Tom Esselman, Rachel Malone, Megan McNaughton, all of which was very helpful in improving our computer lab and internet. Tom, in the spring of 2018, through PC for People, provided computers for our lab so that kids could have a place available to do homework, and older adults and families without access to technology or computers. They came in, did a fantastic job, set up everything, and really did a fantastic job. Rachel, in 2019, provided great information and help in getting a grant to remodel the lab. Megan, in 2020, provided laptops that could be loaned out to residents and provided a training program to train the trainers so that we would be able to help the people when they come to the center. But because of the pandemic, it appeared that everything would cease. But since we had the laptops, we moved upstairs from the lab downstairs, which was very confined, to the larger room where we could maintain social distance. So we are giving a big shout out and many thanks to Digital Inclusion and all of your wonderful people for all that you do and providing help to all communities. Thank you very much.
That's awesome, Ike. And I actually know even in the Connecting for Good days, we were we were talking about this many, many, many years ago.
Right.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's awesome. Does anyone have any questions for Ike? Or any thoughts? It's amazing. How many laptops do you have?
I think we got 5.
And what have been some of the outcomes that you've seen? Are you seeing people who weren't using computers coming in and kind of starting from scratch and getting into the getting some digital skills?
Yes, we have. Megan provided us some great information, and some of most of our members was elderly people that had a fear of computers. So she came in and trained some people to train them about getting on the internet, paying their bills and everything. So that really interest. And yeah, it was going fine. We were meeting every Thursday, and it was really nice.
So what do you think, why do you think it's important for, or what difference do you think it makes for people to have this kind of a program at an organization like yours where they already have a connection? What difference do you think that makes, or how does it just help in general?
It's making a difference because that's the way that's the trend now. Everything's going. I went to the bank. My bank closed down the drive-through. So I was asking, why would you close the drive-through? That, and they response was they are gearing up for the younger people, which don't even come to the bank now. They use the phone to deposit their checks and everything. So it's, that's the trend. And if the older people, elderly people don't get on board, they're gonna be left behind where you're just gonna be left behind.
Do you think that it was easier for them to learn things or want to learn things because they knew you, they knew Vineyard, they've been coming there, they put on quite a spread for their gatherings? I can tell you all, everybody brings food or used to at least, and it was quite a gathering. I mean, do you think that helped, that you had that that group of people who'd been coming already and they knew who you were and they trusted you?
Yes, I have very much, but I think it helped a whole lot when Megan came, and then she did talk to people. She got on our Zoom meeting. She went, seemed like over and above, to try to get in touch with everybody and get them on board. So I think that really, really helped, and I appreciate it very much.
Right. Anybody else have any questions or comments?
Like, it seems that this is John Fitzpatrick from KC Digital Drive. It seems like you just have always had great things going on there. I was wondering, in terms of being able to use the digital resources there, are people doing so for anything to do with their healthcare?
No.
Okay. So they're not like looking up their patient portal or those kinds of things that might be available to them.
Not at this time. They are not coming to the class to do that, but they'll come to, like the registration for your vehicles had to be in by the first of this month. So we had several people that come in at the last minute, to do it. online, so they wouldn't be late and have to pay that penalty.
Mhm.
Yeah, that sort of thing. But no, health-wise, we haven't got into that.
But they are accessing other services. That sounds great.
Yes.
That's great. Thank you.
I did want to say, Leslie, I appreciate Mr. Graham and the Vineyard Neighborhood Association. They've been longtime coalition members, consistently came to the library on Central and participated. So thank you for being a long-standing coalition member, continuing to be engaged, and especially making sure that your community is getting access to digital literacy as you have been doing over the years. So I just wanted to say that and make sure we acknowledge your long-standing participation.
And thank you for sending out your presentation. And that was really great. And all the help that you offered also. And we're really gonna take you up on it once we get back, but right now we're still doing Zoom meetings until they get warm enough or everything is relaxed where people feel safe about meeting again. Because we were meeting outside until it got too cold. And we went to Zoom. So we'll do that until we can go back to the outside unless things change.
Yeah, and thank you, Ina, for those comments. Ike's been around for a long time doing the work. Anyone else? All right, I know Ina has to leave shortly, and so I wanted to see if we could go ahead and play that that video, Wendy.
Yes.
From Link. Yeah, that one.
Not going here.
So over the years, Urban Tech has been committed to ensuring that Black students specifically have access to 21st century technology so that they can be exposed, encouraged, and engaged, and able to explore their interests. And so it gives me that opportunity either in after school setting and in a classroom setting where they can ask questions, because sometimes when they're with other people, they might not ask the questions or they might not explore something. So for the students, I think the opportunity with the next, for example, like with the Next Gen Technology Club that I'm launching, it would be an opportunity for students in the urban core to have access to drones, to have access to artificial intelligence, esports, virtual reality. Those are the next generation of careers that students will have access to. So a lot of things gratify me, but when I hear that kids say, "This was cool, Miss Ina," or, "We really like that activity," that's what really kind of confirms or validates, if you will, what I'm doing, because that's my goal, that's my objective, to have them engaged, to have them interested, to have them excited. And so when they give me that feedback and say, and I get hugs too a lot, just thanking me for, that was really cool, the activity we did. And so for me as Urban Tech to provide these opportunities to these students, I'm really excited about that for students in the greater Kansas City area.
You want to go?
Awesome. Well, so Ina, who has been on the steering council since the beginning, right, Ina?
Yes.
Awesome video. And I think, Joe, you're here too from Link, right?
Yes, very happy to see that. And we love our our partnership with Urban Tech. It has been fabulous. We are going full steam on that. Well, yeah, full steam. That's it's been great, and it was very enjoyable to see it up close. I've seen it many times over the last few years. And there's also, there's a story goes with that. I'm going to put it in the chat so you can see you'll see the video again and the whole story that goes with that. I think you'll find things about Miss Ina that you didn't know, because I surely learned a lot. We really appreciate all you're doing, Ina.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
that was fun. So you just saw a sample of just 2 of the activities. So what I do with Link, I have 5 different visits representing each letter of STEAM. So the first visit is all science activities. The next is technology, engineering, art, and math. And so what you just saw for engineering, I use the snap circuits that the kids really enjoy. So I tell them that they're project managers. I copy some of the projects out the book, and then they look at the blueprint to figure out how to put that activity together. And so it really keeps them engaged. I use that K through 5. And then you also saw an example of the art with a 3D pen, where they designed their own glasses in 3D.
very, very fun.
Mm-hmm.
And William Crumpler said he had those snap circuits as a kid and loved them. So, all right. Some technology's just been around for a while, I guess. Huh?
Well, and because it works. I mean, the snap circuits are so engaging, and again, it just makes them think. But I do appreciate the relationship. I think it's been 5 years now with Link. They've allowed me to grow as I've grown my STEAM labs and working with their kids. 3 different school districts, a different school every day of the week, Monday through Friday for the whole school year. So it's been fun and exciting.
And I'll add that's just a very small sample of all the many things that Urban Tech brings to classrooms. I mean, it's the wealth of materials that you've accumulated is impressive and exciting.
Absolutely. All right.
Thank you for that. Yeah, thanks for showing. It's my first time seeing it.
Oh, that's great. Tony, you have a question?
I just want thank you, and thanks everybody who's presented. And Ina reminded me, and for anybody who's working with youth, at UMKC, the School of Computing and Engineering built with a lot of donations from a lot of different organizations, the Plaster Center, which has a lot of AR, VR equipment, unbelievable 3D printers, a jet cockpit for flight simulation, a room that's where they test drones. And we've been arranging tours so that area youth can see some of this equipment and meet with some university students who are working with it. So Ina, if you or anybody else working with young people would like us to try to arrange a tour there, it's been the Dean of the School of Engineering is really wanting to have the community see these facilities, and they'll work out a way to start using them too. So
I will definitely take advantage of that.
You can contact me, and I'll put my email in the chat. And I know the person who arranged. I've been on 4 of these tours myself. It's just fascinating. So thank you.
Maybe we could have a coalition meeting there sometime.
Yeah, we could arrange that. It's really something. And you can play with the AR, VR stuff. I don't know what I'm doing, but it was fun.
Sounds good. Well, in keeping with kind of shaking up our agenda order, Megan, do you want to talk about the formation of the Digital Literacy Resources Committee?
Yes, I would love to. Hi, everyone. If I haven't spoken to you before, my name is Megan McNaughton. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the Tech Access Partnerships Coordinator at Kansas City Public Library. I work really closely with Wendy Pearson, who's running this call right now. And so I just want to let you all know that NDIA recently released an updated version of the Digital Inclusion Coalition Guidebook. I'm dropping the link to their blog post in the chat since I can't put a document itself in the chat. If you have some time, definitely check it out. If you haven't looked at it yet, it's really, really awesome. It's going to be an excellent resource. And there's tons of good ideas within it. And in order to leverage it as a resource, I wanted to start a working group that focuses on digital literacy efforts in Kansas City. So if you or members of your team need digital literacy resources, if you or members of your team are creating resources or curious if they exist already, we want you to join these working groups. So it's going to be a monthly meeting, and we'll basically be able to network, talk to each other about what resources we've created or resources that we're looking for, and either create or share the resources that we have. So we're not trying to reinvent the wheel with every resource we're sharing within the community. And regardless of whether you're working with absolute beginners or people who are on the expert end of the spectrum, whether it's focusing on children or adults, the idea is to just have these conversations about digital literacy efforts in Kansas City, and make sure that we all can connect and see where everyone else is in the grand scheme of things. So I created a really quick Microsoft form. It should take 2 to 4 minutes to complete. It's an interest form for this working group. It's got more information. So calls are going to begin in April. So you have until March 31st to submit any interest. And I'm going to put my email in the chat. Feel free to email me with any questions you have about this idea, comments, concerns, thoughts, and I would be more than happy to get in touch with you, set up a meeting, learn more about you or your organization. And that's really it. So let me type, because I can't type and talk at the same time, and make sure I spell my email correctly, and then I can take any questions anyone might have.
Megan, if someone happens to miss the March 31st deadline, they can still join later on, right?
Yes, absolutely. This is just to get a sense of how many people to begin to expect at these kinds of meetings. And then in addition to those meetings, feel free just whenever to email me. I'm feeling pretty good right now. I've gotten a lot of good shout outs on this call, but I have created a ton of digital literacy resources over the course of COVID. So if you'd like to ever partner with the library or with Tech Access specifically, we'd love to have that conversation. I'm always looking to build connections within the coalition. So my email is in the chat. Feel free to reach out to me. And if you're not interested, but you think another member of your team might be, definitely share this information. We'd love to get folks working together and collaborating on, again, specifically digital literacy efforts in Kansas City. So having said that, I will take any questions anyone might have.
Any other questions or comments? Sounds like an awesome opportunity, and I think the more we learn from each other, the better we can serve our community. So I'm excited about this.
That's how I felt too. I also want to give a shout out to everyone on the call who has complimented me. I greatly appreciate it, and I'm stoked to be a member of the coalition. So thank you all so much for being here and for partnering with the library.
All right. Well, we have one last video. Last but not least, Esteemed Village was in the news recently. I think there's a little ad at the beginning. Oh, no, you got it. Okay. Great video that we'll see here in a little bit. And I'm going to be quiet so that we can be ready for when it actually, we've got a few seconds, I guess, 11 seconds. Yeah. William Wells, I think you're on the call and doing awesome work, been around for a long time, doing great work with young people.
Through a streaming device, glad to have you with us.
Whoops. Oh gosh.
No, hit that.
Well. Sorry about that. Let's try again.
I also need an electrician because wires are scary. And then there's the ants. So I use Thumbtack to find who I need. I can check out reviews, prices, and book the pro I like in the app. Anytime something breaks, I can get it fixed fast. It's good to be king. Find pros for any home project. Download Thumbtack today.
A lot of you may be watching us this morning online or through a streaming device. Glad to have you with us. That's one reason we want to take some time to show you how groups are coming together across Kansas City's urban core to give more people access to the internet that some people have.
Yeah, that's part of our Two Americas initiative, where we highlight the America you know and the America you might not. KSHB 41 News reporter Charlie Keegan shows us how the two-prong approach of Digital KC Now works.
18th and Vine's historic Lincoln building is getting an upgrade.
First, you have to start off with a really long wire.
You have to run the wires.
Designing networks.
You have to terminate the wires.
And then you have to connect it to a router.
High school students like Maurice Booker are wiring buildings in Kansas City's 3rd District for high-speed internet.
I know how it feels not to have internet.
For a few months before the freshman moved to Kansas City, he didn't have internet. Now, he's bringing internet to others.
We're doing some really big things.
Here's why really big things needed to happen. Kansas City's 3rd District represents the east side of town. It includes zip codes which rank worst for home value, median income, and life expectancy. Experts say it's also the area with the worst internet connection, leaving businesses and people out of the digital economy. If the digital divide continues to grow, so will divides in income and health.
Because you can't have a business without high-speed broadband. You know, that's the difference that we see.
In November, the city cut the ribbon on a solution called Digital KC Now. It puts the A-Steam Village nonprofit in charge of a group of teenagers with a two-prong approach. First, teaching the teens how to design, build, and install networks. Second, those teens connect underserved areas in the 3rd District to the internet.
I like that it gives you the opportunity to do anything.
Opportunity is the key word. With the internet, businesses and people have the opportunity to enter the digital economy.
This is not only solving a lot of historical inequities, but it's doing so literally from the ground up. Working with students who live and go to school in the very neighborhoods that are affected.
Tom Esselman runs PCs for People in Kansas City, which is part of the larger KC Coalition for Digital Inclusion. For years, he's worked with groups like Google Fiber to install free internet in community centers and public housing complexes. He fully supports Digital KC Now.
And when COVID hit, it was like the world woke up to the fact that we all need reliable, affordable internet.
The boy who went without internet for a few months now uses it.
I say I use it probably 24/7, yeah.
And soon others will be able to as well. Charlie Keegan, KSHB 41 News.
It's really amazing. There is more happening behind the scenes to address the digital divide. President Biden's infrastructure law sets aside hundreds of millions of dollars for broadband expansion, and the Affordable Connectivity Program gives eligible households a $30 per month discount on their internet bill. We have information on how you can sign up for this plan on our website, kshb.com.
Right. And
mattress.
oops. Okay. William, are you on the call? No,
Was briefly earlier, but I don't see him now.
I think he had to drop off, but he presented last month. Am I
Yep.
right?
Yes.
Time is. So if you're interested in learning more about Digital KC Now, we have that, that recording is available, correct?
Yeah, we put it on the newsletter for last month, and then it's also on our YouTube channel.
Okay, great. So you can check that out. They also have a Digital KC Now website. And Tony, I don't know, you're involved with this project somehow. Do you have anything that you'd like to say?
No, it's great for us and our students to be involved. We're more on the adoption side of it. So we're doing a lot of work to get with the community and William and his collaborators to get more people excited about getting connected and using the internet. So.
Yeah, okay. I think that is all of our announcements. Does anyone, we've got a few minutes, does anyone else have any other announcements that we haven't included in the agenda? Anything else happening in the world you want to share? All right, well, it's always nice to end early, give you a few minutes back in your day. Our next meeting is April Fool's Day. So no April Fooling on that, during that meeting, but we will have a fun meeting, I think, on April 1st anyway. And with that, if no one else has anything else for the good of the order, we will end the call. Thanks everybody for being here.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.